All right, so I'm gonna give it a couple minutes for more people to
Você quis dizer transcendentes?
for more people to join the webinar. And then we're just gonna get started.
Ciclos mais vendidos é a ilusão entre.
Just giving it a couple more minutes for more people to join, okay, guys? You already have a few people here. Mike, Tina, Chantel, welcome. All right, I think we can get started. And then while we do the introductions, I think more people can start joining. Today on this webinar, so first and foremost, I'm Julia. I'm the product lead for Opendock and Docking Yard at LoadSmart. We have here on the meeting Tyler Rubottom. He will be helping with anything happening on the chat. So guys, feel free to participate. Unfortunately, you guys cannot speak up because we don't have the mic option opened. But you guys can type on the chat. Tyler will be looking at all of you guys' comments and questions on the chat. So feel free to communicate with us through there, and we'll make sure to address all of you guys' questions. And if you guys have any comments on specific things that you would like to see, feel free to type it in there and we'll be addressing that. We're going to be talking about parallel capacity today and how to manage reserves. One is a very simple setting, the other one is a more complex, I think, setting that a lot of customers have questions about. So it will be great for us to cover how to use both of them to kind of allocate resources correctly and help you guys manage your capacity. Housekeeping rules are just a few things for us to keep in mind. Use the chat for questions, like I said, so feel free to type in questions or even comments on use cases that you guys have that you guys would like for us to address. This webinar is being recorded. It will be shared afterwards as well. And the recording will be kept under our webinar web page where we have all the previous webinars that we've recorded as well. So you guys can have access to that. And after this session, we'll be sharing the helpful resources like contact details, link to our community pages and articles, so on and so forth. What is the agenda for today? So what you guys should expect is we will go over parallel capacity feature, understanding what it is and how to set it up and what problem it's aiming to solve. Briefly talking about challenges in capacity management that perhaps this feature can help you guys with. How Opendock solves for it. I'll do a live demo, so I'm going to show it in my own personal demo account, how to set it up and how to use the capacity or the parallel capacity and reserves. Starting with understanding parallel capacity. I know that this is not a term that you see a lot in the industry. I think it's one term that we use it a lot on Opendock, parallel capacity. But really what it does is allows for our customers or users to handle multiple appointments simultaneously on the same dock schedule. So as you guys know, you guys create the dock schedules, and a lot of times you're gonna want to, if it's peak season or if it's like for a day, for a month, 6 months, or even if it's an ongoing thing, you want to say, hey, I've allocated my capacity, I've allocated my availability, it's all set up right, but I want to be able to receive multiple appointments at the same time because of this or that situation. And that's where parallel capacity, I think, comes into place. Uh, and why it matters so much, because it helps you guys balance efficiency and accuracy, also because data is going to be allocated in the right place, capturing all that accurate dwell time, appointment start time information that we know is very valuable. Why can parallel capacity be tricky? So we know that manual tracking is something difficult, and it leads to scheduling conflicts a lot of times. So making sure that things are in the right place is very important for Opendock's facilities. It's something that you guys want, and it's something that we're always aiming to provide to you guys. How to handle conflicts, how to handle difficult situations. They're not necessarily the happy path, and I think parallel capacity can help with that. Lack of visibility, peak hours. Sometimes you want and you need allocate more capacity or more resources to peak season, or maybe like a one-off week that's going to be chaotic, and you need to make sure that you're able to do that. Opendock makes it simple. That's the goal. The goal is for us to always solve the complex problems in a simple way, in a way that's easy for you guys to manage. And so the goal is that you guys will be able to configure and manage the parallel capacity with ease, reserve and allocate resources in real time so you can make decisions quickly, prevent conflicts and bottlenecks before they even happen, and gain visibility into the capacity usage as well. So it's full cycle, right? And then things that you can do in Opendock for that, setting the parallel capacity rules by dock and by warehouse. So we go as granular as possible, viewing capacity availability in real time. So that translated into the schedule right away, prioritizing the load types or appointment types, tracking performance and optimizing the future in scheduling. So I'm gonna show you guys all of that sort of like in my live account so that you guys will be able to see parallel capacity and reserves sort of like in the real world of Opendock. This is my schedule. So I have this facility, it's called Office, and I have my multiple dogs. I have my Town Hall Cafe, Charlie, Alpha, Bravo, and Delta. These are my dog schedules. But as you guys can see, there's a number 2 here right beside Town Hall Cafe. And if I open it up, I'm gonna see that it's still the same dog schedule, but it helps me because I can allocate. So on the scheduling portal for the carrier scheduling, dispatcher scheduling, it's gonna be all in the same dock, same load type, same schedule that they pick and choose from. But instead of allowing only the one appointment to, for example, be created noon, I can allow for 2 appointments to be created at the same time. So that little number up top will pretty much tell you how many competing appointments can exist at the same time for that specific dock. All the others don't have parallel capacity, as you can see, so pretty much appointments are allocated top down. For this one, if an appointment is already scheduled, for example, for noon, I would still have this noon or to 12:30 availability here. I don't have the full hour available though because I have a reserve, and this is where reserves come into place as well. One off time slots that you guys need to secure, reserve, or close you can do that very easily by just clicking on this little lightning bolt. When you click on it, you create a reserve, meaning you take this slot away from being an available time for carriers to schedule. We know that you guys can, or you guys know that you probably know that you can set up your availability on the warehouse level, on the dock level, and even on the load type level. So you can determine the hours of operations for each of these 3 layers. But sometimes one-off events or things happen, and you just want to make sure that you're not allowing for anything to come in during that specific time. And that's where reserves, I think, are very useful for. You can always, much like the appointment, extend the reserves if needed. So for example, it starts with a 30-minute slot, but I can extend it all the way to the 2 hours that I want to keep reserved on my schedule, meaning this will go away from my available hours on the scheduling portal. Carriers won't see this time no longer as available, even though I don't have any appointments allocated in here. So this is great for managing that kind of thing. Let's say, for example, that you have lunchtime every day at noon, and this is kind of what I set up for Monday. So I have like a 1 o'clock, and I created a reserve, and you can do that by clicking on a reserve and clicking on this little icon right here, where you can create a recurrence. Much like an appointment, reserves can be recurrent as well. So if you want to set up slots that you guys want to block off the schedule without creating appointments for them, this is the perfect way to go, creating a reserve using that little lightning bolt. You can always move it or remove reserves out of the view if you guys want to, so that it doesn't pollute the view on the schedule, or bring them back in. So this is pretty much how you manage reserves. And reserves can be created inside the parallel capacities as well. So as you can see in here, I have my town hall cafe and I have a parallel capacity set for it. And I created a reserve, meaning that even though I have this slot or 2 slots available for noon, I only can create an appointment that can last for 30 minutes on this slot. How do I set up my capacity docs? So going into warehouses, selecting that warehouse that I was showing to you guys, and docs. So if a doc specifically has a parallel capacity, it's going to give you or show this little arrow down, and it's also going to show how many parallel capacities that this doc has with this number right here. And then I can see that, okay, I have 2 appointments already using this parallel capacity. So it always gives you the count of appointments that are being allocated into the parallel capacity. If I want to create a new parallel capacity, so let's say, for example, that I want to add 1 more for town hall. I want to have 3 appointments created at the same time, or the ability to create 3 appointments at the same time for that same doc schedule. So as quick as that, I just clicked on add. I added an additional parallel capacity that doesn't have any appointment scheduled to it just yet. But if I go back to my view of the grid, now it's going to say 3. And so if I open it up, it shows me in a different color, but I have pretty much the same doc schedule now with the ability to create 3 competing appointments at the same time. Another cool thing about parallel capacity as well is that you guys can set its availability independently from the main doc that it belongs to. Say, for example, that and in this case, on the example on the screen, from 8 a.m., which is where I open, until noon, my main doc has availability and it's open, but I can only receive 2 appointments at the same time and not 3, even though I have the 2 additional capacity docs. So all my morning is going to be only 2 appointments being received at the same time. And then on my afternoon, that's when I can receive 3 appointments at the same time. So this is kind of how you guys can control this availability as well, and limit it to, once you create the capacity doc, is going to mirror the exact capacity of that main doc, but you can work through that capacity doc to have it having a different schedule. So if I go in here and if I click edit on my capacity docs, much like any other regular doc, I am able to play around and set a different availability for it. Let's say, for example, that I want Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. I want to be able to receive this parallel appointments, but not on Thursdays and not on Fridays. Or the other way around, I'm sorry. So I want to close Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays in the morning, but actually on Thursday and Fridays, I want to open it up so I can receive more appointments. So if I save this setting and I go back to my appointments, you guys will see it's reflected right away. Now I have, because it's a Friday, I have it available. 3 appointments can fit in here at the same time. Not on Monday though. On Monday, only 2 appointments, because this is closed on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So you guys can play around with different combinations of hours of operations for the parallel capacity. And when we go into reporting, you might be wondering, what does that look like? We try and be as transparent and clear as possible when it comes to reporting. So example, when I'm in reporting, this is our custom reporting feature. You guys will play around with the filters and what you want to see, but basically the filtering options include docs, right? So if I go to all docs, I'm going to see all my main docs right here. And I'm also going to see my parallel capacity docs, and they're signaled by this capacity and capacity ID at the sort of like at the end of the name. So cozy living room is my main doc. Cozy living room capacity is my capacity doc. And guest room is my main doc. Guest room capacity is one of the capacity docs that I have for that main doc. So you guys will be able to pull appointments that are allocated just on the capacity docs, for example. Same thing if I go to my warehouse insights. So taking a look into my warehouse insights, we also break down your capacity and appointment allocation by your capacity docs. So in blue is everything that's taken by appointments. In red is everything that's sitting idle, or all the available hours that I have that have not been used by appointments. If I start filling up my capacity docs with a whole bunch of appointments, this number is going to start. So we calculate even availability, we calculate separately for what is a capacity doc. So even though it allows for you on that same doc schedule to have multiple appointments allocated, we break down on the report so that you can see that separately. Let me think if there's anything else in here that it's important for you guys to know in terms of how to handle and how to operate with capacity docs. I don't think so. You can have up to 5 different capacity docs, sort of like at the same time. You can add capacity docs for multiple doc schedules. You guys own this. You guys are responsible for creating your own settings and however it is that you guys want to operate. Our goal is to make it as flexible as possible. You can always go back and delete your capacity docs as well, as long as they don't have appointments or active appointments in them. If they do, then I have to move this appointment somewhere else, because again, you can delete a doc with active appointments in them. We're not responsible for deleting doc appointment information. We'll never do that unless you guys want us to. So the idea is that if you have a capacity or a parallel capacity that does not have an appointment, you can easily delete it. If there is an appointment to it, then you need to move those appointments somewhere else or operationalize those appointments so that they're no longer active, and that's when you can delete or remove this parallel capacity. Again, guys, I know this is not the simplest feature, so if you guys have any other questions or things that you guys want for us to go over during this webinar, feel free to type in the questions on the channel or on the chat so that we can address everything. But I think this is pretty much it in terms of how to handle parallel capacity. So it always starts with the main doc and how it's set up. So if I create a parallel capacity, the same load types that the main doc receives, the parallel capacity will receive as well. The only thing is that you can set up the schedules differently, so the hours of operation can be different for the parallel capacity docs. And handling reserves, supposed to be very simple, easy to do, easy to get rid of as well. So if I just click on the X, that's removed, and I regain that available slot again on the schedule. Very quick and easy. From the moment that I do this, it's already reflected on that scheduling portal, so the carriers will see this as an open slot again. That is it, guys, I think. So hopefully the takeaway from this quick webinar is that you guys are now able to manage your parallel capacity, allocate it if needed, use reserves as well, quickly closing down hours or reopening them if needed, and that you guys are able to monitor, and then from monitoring able to optimize you guys' operation as quick as possible live. That's it, guys. I think that we covered pretty much everything when it comes to parallel capacity. I don't see any questions popping up, but if you guys have any, I'd be more than happy to address them. So this is the right time to do that. While you guys are thinking through questions, Additional help and resources. So you guys have your account managers that are always available to answer questions or to help you guys through anything. We have a community page where we post usually articles to learn how to do this, how to do that, every nuance, every little thing on our application. So you go into warehouses, Opendock warehouse portal, and then load types, docs, appointments, parallel capacity. There's an article about it in here as well so that you guys can check it out if you want more details around it. But anything on our application, we'll probably have an article here letting you guys know what that functionality is for and how to use it and how to set it up. So you guys are more than welcome to jump in here and start digging through the articles. And then lastly, our next webinar will be on custom appointment grid. That will be next month. And the goal is for us to discuss and show you guys how to customize your grid view so that you have everything that you need and all the information that you need right on your face when you're looking at the grid and at your appointments. So we're going to be covering that next month on the next webinar. You guys can already subscribe to it. And on this page right here, that's also shared with you guys on the chat, you'll be able to check out all the previous webinars that we had and the recording. So we had a webinar about carrier context, custom notifications, our brand new YMS, our gate management solution, API integration. So we've had pretty great themes for webinars so far that have gotten a lot of attention from our customers. If you guys want to jump in and take a look at the recordings, this is the page that you guys go to. All right, I really don't see any questions popping up, but you guys feel free to email me or Tyler if you guys have any questions that you guys want to ask later on. I
Drew,
hope this webinar was helpful.
Drew, it looks like we have a question from Darlene.
Oh, do we?
She wants to know, how do you remove parallel capacity spots?
Okay, so let's go into here. So what was the question again? How to remove parallel capacity spots?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so Darlene, I'm not sure if you mean like one by one. If let's say, for example, that I don't want to have two appointments coming in at 11 a.m. for Friday. What I can do is just quickly create a reserve in here, and that sort of eliminates that parallel capacity for that slot specifically. Another way that I can remove parallel capacity is by going back into my warehouse docs, opening up that doc with parallel capacity. So for example, this one, I'm gonna edit it and I'm gonna set its availability. So in this case, it's closed on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays in the morning. But let's say that, oh, I also need to close it on Fridays afternoon. So I can just come in here and kind of like close this right here. And so now I've set a new availability that's different from the main doc or the main doc schedule for my capacity doc. Another thing that you guys can do as well is you guys can see that I have an appointment right here that's like two competing appointments, let's say, that's scheduled for the same time. I can always move them around and kind of like move them back to the main doc if there's an availability to do that. The only way that you guys can delete a capacity doc is by removing all the appointments that are still open or ongoing from this list or from this capacity doc. So if I wanted to, for example, move this one to that main doc, now I clear the slot right here on the capacity doc and I can allocate another appointment to it, or I can just close this and not allow for carriers to come in here anymore. I hope that answered your question. Mar, I can't see if there's other questions popping up, but if there are, just let me know. I don't think I can see them.
Sounds good. It looks like she said thank you, so I think
Okay,
good on that. Thanks, Drew.
absolutely. Guys, again, channel of communication between the Opendock team and our users and our customers are always open. So I highly encourage you guys, if you have additional questions, if you want to learn more about something, use this What's New session to provide us feedback, new ideas for things that you want to see on the product, or even questions about things that, you are wondering how to make the best use of, or if it's even there or planned. If you want to see a roadmap and the next additions to the product, you can click on this button and you'll be able to see everything that we have planned for Opendock. We always post the new things to the product in here, so releases, new bug fixes, new features. We usually post them here, so you guys can keep an eye on this section to make sure that you're always in the communication of what's new on Opendock. But we love our customers and users' feedback. So don't feel free, please, to reach out to us using this to communicate to us what it is that you guys want in the project. Okay. Thank you so much, guys.